Welcome to our exploration of some of the rarest and most fascinating insects on our planet today. We begin with the Lord Howe stick insect, a creature that resembles a living tree branch. This remarkable insect is a master of camouflage, blending seamlessly into its natural forest environment. Once abundant on Lord Howe Island, its population faced a sudden and devastating threat. In the early 20th century, invasive rats arrived on the island and decimated the stick insects. For decades, scientists believed the species was completely extinct, with no sightings anywhere. However, a tiny population was miraculously rediscovered on a remote volcanic rock called Ball's Pyramid. This sheer cliff in the ocean became the final sanctuary for these incredibly rare creatures. Their survival on this barren rock is one of the most improbable stories in nature. With almost no vegetation and harsh weather, they managed to endure against all odds. The biology of the Lord Howe stick insect makes their recovery a slow and delicate process. They reproduce slowly and require very specific conditions to thrive and grow their numbers. Conservationists are working hard to breed them in captivity and prepare for their eventual return. Their story reminds us how fragile ecosystems are and how quickly they can be disrupted. Next, we look at Franklin's bumblebee, a species that has mysteriously vanished from its habitat. For years, this unique bee lived in a very narrow region of California and Oregon.
Unlike other widespread bee species, its limited range made it highly vulnerable to environmental changes.
In the late 90s, sightings of Franklin's bumblebee began to decline at an alarming rate. By the early 2000s, the species seemed to have disappeared entirely from the wild. There was no gradual decline or clear warning, just an abrupt and silent absence. This sudden disappearance raises deep and troubling questions about the health of our ecosystems. Bumblebees are crucial pollinators, and their loss has a ripple effect on many plants. When a pollinator disappears, plant reproduction suffers, affecting food availability for other wildlife. The rapid decline of this stable population shows how quickly a species can reach crisis.
Occasional unconfirmed sightings still bring hope, but none have been officially verified yet.
This uncertainty makes conservation efforts incredibly difficult and complicated for researchers. Protecting a species that might already be gone requires immense dedication and resources. The mystery of this rare bumblebee highlights the urgent need to protect our remaining pollinators. Now, let us explore the Miami blue butterfly, a beautiful and highly endangered species. Once common along the Florida coast, this small butterfly fluttered among coastal shrubs and dunes. However, rapid coastal development began to destroy and fragment its delicate seaside habitat. The loss of these specific coastal areas had a cumulative and devastating impact on them. By the early 90s, the Miami blue was believed to be extinct on the mainland. A few isolated populations managed to survive only on a handful of remote islands. What makes this butterfly so vulnerable is its strict dependence on specific host plants. Its caterpillars can only feed on a few select plants, limiting their ability to adapt. If these host plants disappear due to development, the butterflies cannot survive either.
This close relationship turns any environmental change into an immediate and direct threat.
Recovery programs have focused on captive breeding to help rebuild their fragile populations. Scientists carefully release bred butterflies into protected areas to establish new colonies. However, restoring an entire ecological relationship is far more complex than just breeding insects. The Miami Blues struggle shows that saving a species means saving its entire habitat. We move on to the Heinz emerald dragonfly, known for its striking green eyes. This 12-spotted skimmer dragonfly spends most of its life hidden in slow-moving, mineral-rich wetlands. These unique wetland habitats, known as fens, are incredibly easy to overlook and damage. Fens rely on a constant, delicate flow of clean groundwater to maintain their chemistry. Even minor disruptions to the water flow can drastically alter this fragile environment. As wetlands were drained for agriculture and urban development, their habitat quickly shrank. The loss of these quiet wetlands led to a severe decline in dragonfly populations.
The Heinz emerald dragonfly cannot survive in just any ordinary marsh or pond.
Its absence from an area usually indicates that the local wetland system is compromised. Unlike other insects, this species develops very slowly over several years as larvae. They spend up to 5 years in the water before emerging as flying adults. This long aquatic stage makes them highly sensitive to any changes in water quality.
Conservation efforts focus heavily on restoring and protecting the vital wetlands they depend on.
Preserving these habitats is the only viable way to ensure the dragonfly's long-term survival. Next is the Salt Creek tiger beetle, a fierce predator built for incredible speed. While it is a fast hunter, its survival depends on an extremely narrow habitat. The adult beetles run across muddy ground in quick bursts to catch small prey.
They use their large, sharp mandibles to capture and consume other small insects.
However, the most vulnerable part of their life cycle occurs safely underground. The larvae live in tiny vertical burrows, waiting to ambush passing prey.
If the soil becomes too dry or disturbed, these crucial burrows will collapse.
This makes the beetle a dominant predator, but also an incredibly fragile species. Their decline is directly linked to the loss of rare saline wetland habitats. Much of this unique land has been altered by roads, cities, and water management. With so little habitat remaining, conservation efforts must be extremely precise and targeted. Protecting the mudflats and maintaining water balance are critical to their survival.
Captive rearing programs are being used to support and boost the wild populations.
The contrast between their aggressive hunting and fragile existence makes them truly fascinating. Now, let us look at the American burying beetle, a master of recycling. This insect performs a unique and vital role by burying small animal carcasses. When a small animal dies, a male and female pair quickly locate it. They dig beneath the carcass, slowly pulling it underground to bury it completely. This structured process prevents other scavengers from taking their precious food source. They carefully remove fur or feathers and shape the carcass into a ball. They coat it with special secretions to slow down decomposition and preserve it. This creates a safe and stable food supply for their future offspring. The larvae hatch directly on this buried resource, where they are well protected. Uniquely, both parents actively feed and care for their developing young larvae. This high level of parental care is extremely rare among insect species. However, this behavior also makes them dependent on finding suitable small carcasses. If appropriate carcasses are not available, their reproduction will fail entirely. Their decline highlights how changes in wildlife populations affect these specialized beetles. We now turn to the famous monarch butterfly, known for its incredible migration. Each year, millions of monarchs travel thousands of miles across North America. They journey from Canada and the United States to forests in central Mexico. Remarkably, no single butterfly completes the entire round trip on its own. The epic journey is completed over several generations, guided by genetic memory. Along their migration route, monarchs depend entirely on the milkweed plant. Milkweed is the only plant that monarch caterpillars can eat to survive.
When milkweed is cleared from fields and roadsides, the breeding cycle is broken.
The decline of the monarch is caused by a combination of complex threats.
Habitat loss, pesticide use, and climate change all impact their survival. This makes conservation difficult, as protecting just one area is not enough. They need safe breeding grounds, migration corridors, and winter forests to survive. Efforts to plant milkweed in gardens are helping to support their journey. The monarch's survival relies on a coordinated effort across 3 different countries.
Finally, we meet Wallace's giant bee, the largest bee in the world.
Females are massive, with large jaws used to gather resin for nests.
This giant bee depends on termite nests built inside living forest trees.
They use active or abandoned termite tunnels to build their secure chambers. They line the chambers with sticky resin to protect against invading termites. This unique relationship makes them highly vulnerable to environmental changes and habitat loss.
Protecting these ancient forests is crucial to saving this magnificent giant bee.
Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to help support wildlife conservation.